Imagine trying to find the love of your life without a phone, a city, or even a permanent home. No dating apps, no weddings planned months in advance, no restaurants for first dates, no private bedrooms. For almost all of human history, none of those things existed. Yet somehow, generation after generation, people met, formed relationships, raised children, and passed their genes on until thousands of years later, you were born.
So how did ancient humans actually mate? Not the biological part. That hasn't changed much. The real mystery is how they found partners, earned trust, and built families in a world where survival came before romance. The answer is far more fascinating than the familiar image of cavemen fighting over mates with clubs. In reality, love, attraction, and family life in prehistory were shaped by cooperation, reputation, and the simple struggle to stay alive. To understand ancient relationships, we first have to forget everything modern life has taught us about dating. For most of the last 300,000 years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They traveled in small groups, often no larger than a few dozen people, following animals, seasonal plants, and fresh water. These bands were not anonymous crowds. Everyone knew everyone else. Every success, every mistake, every friendship, and every disagreement happened in full view of the community.
That meant first impressions weren't nearly as important as they are today. There was no chance to create a perfect online profile or hide behind carefully chosen photos. If someone wanted to know what kind of person you were, they simply watched you. They saw how you treated older people, whether you shared food after a successful hunt, how you behaved during difficult journeys, and whether you could stay calm when danger appeared. Character wasn't something you claimed. It was something people witnessed every day. Because people spent so much time together, attraction grew differently. Instead of brief conversations or planned dates, relationships developed naturally through everyday life. Gathering berries, repairing tools, carrying firewood, caring for children, or sitting around the evening fire gave people endless opportunities to observe one another. Over weeks, months, or even years, affection could slowly grow from familiarity and trust. Strength certainly mattered in a harsh environment, but it wasn't the only quality people admired. Someone who constantly started arguments or refused to cooperate could put the entire group at risk. A generous hunter who shared meat fairly was often valued more than someone who kept everything for themselves. A skilled gatherer who always knew where food could be found became just as important as the strongest warrior. Survival rewarded teamwork more than selfishness. Interestingly, scientists studying present-day hunter-gatherer societies have discovered that storytelling and humor often play an important role in attraction. People who could entertain others around the campfire, calm tense situations, or strengthen friendships were frequently admired. Laughter wasn't just a way to pass the time. It helped build trust, reduce conflict, and strengthen social bonds. In many ways, making someone smile may have been one of humanity's oldest forms of flirting. Of course, choosing a partner wasn't only about personal feelings. Families and the wider group often had a strong influence because every new relationship affected everyone. A dependable partner meant stronger cooperation, better protection for children, and more reliable food sharing. Marriage, as we know it today, didn't exist for much of prehistory, but long-term partnerships almost certainly did, because raising human children required enormous effort. Human babies are unusually dependent compared to the young of many other animals. A newborn deer can stand within hours. Human infants need constant care for years. That reality shaped our evolution. Anthropologists believe humans developed strong emotional bonds because two committed parents, and often many relatives, gave children the best chance of surviving to adulthood. But ancient parenting was rarely limited to just two adults. Grandparents, older siblings, aunts, uncles, and close friends all played important roles in raising children. Researchers sometimes describe humans as cooperative breeders because childcare was shared across the community. If one adult became sick or injured, others stepped in to help. This network of support allowed families to survive challenges that would have overwhelmed a single parent. For a long time, popular culture painted prehistoric women as passive figures with little control over their relationships. Modern research suggests the picture was often much more complex. Studies of several hunter-gatherer societies show that women frequently exercised significant choice when selecting partners. Mutual attraction, compatibility, and the ability to cooperate appear to have mattered far more than simple physical dominance. While every society was different, the idea that women were merely prizes to be won doesn't fit much of the available evidence. That also means prehistoric relationships weren't always permanent. Just like today, some couples remained together for many years, while others separated. Human emotions have never been simple. Love, disappointment, jealousy, forgiveness, and heartbreak are not modern inventions. They are deeply rooted parts of our psychology, shaped over countless generations. Appearance still mattered, but perhaps not in the same way it does today. Healthy skin, physical fitness, and signs of good health were valuable because they suggested someone could survive difficult conditions. In environments where food shortages were common, carrying extra body fat could actually signal resilience rather than laziness. Scars sometimes reflected experience instead of imperfection. Every feature told a story about the life a person had lived. Even smell may have influenced attraction more than most people realize. Without deodorants, scented soaps, or perfumes, natural body odor carried important biological information. Research suggests humans often prefer the scent of people whose immune systems differ from their own, potentially increasing the health of future children. Long before anyone understood genetics, the human brain may already have been quietly making those calculations. As the sun disappeared each evening, another important part of human relationships began. The discovery and control of fire transformed social life. Instead of hiding silently from predators in darkness, people gathered around warm flames. They cooked meals, repaired tools, told stories, sang songs, laughed together, and strengthened friendships. Those nightly conversations probably became one of the greatest engines of human connection. Countless romances may have started beneath star-filled skies beside crackling campfires. Life itself, however, was never easy. Injuries, disease, harsh weather, and unpredictable food supplies constantly threatened survival. Because of those dangers, reliability became incredibly attractive. A person who remained dependable during difficult times offered something more valuable than charm alone. They offered security. Knowing someone would stand beside you when life became dangerous was one of the greatest advantages a partner could provide. Perhaps that's why humans eventually became different from many other animals. While physical strength certainly played a role, our species increasingly depended on cooperation, communication, and empathy. The ability to build trust became just as important as the ability to throw a spear. Social intelligence helped groups survive, and successful groups passed those traits to future generations. If you look closely, many of those ancient instincts are still part of modern life. Confidence often signals competence. Kindness suggests someone can be trusted. Humor makes people feel comfortable. Loyalty creates emotional security. Even though our surroundings have changed dramatically, the minds making those judgments remain remarkably ancient. Archaeologists have uncovered prehistoric graves where loved ones were buried with care, sometimes alongside meaningful objects or arranged in ways that suggest deep emotional bonds. These discoveries remind us that prehistoric humans were not emotionless survivors simply focused on the next meal. They mourned, they remembered, they formed attachments strong enough to leave lasting marks in the archaeological record. So, how did ancient humans mate? They did it by building trust before attraction, cooperation before comfort, and family before convenience. They fell in love in a world without modern luxuries, relying on the qualities that mattered most when every day was uncertain. And perhaps that's the most surprising lesson of all. Beneath our technology, our cities, and our endless distractions, we are still guided by many of the same instincts that helped our ancestors find one another thousands of generations ago. The world has changed beyond recognition, but the search for connection remains one of the oldest parts of being human.